Welcome back everybody to the Tau Ceti News Network. In the first part of this video, we talked about the guns seen in the original Marathon trilogy and 3 of the most clear guns we saw in the new Marathon content. This video will be covering the more obscure weapons seen in concept art and even some sketches, and we'll also be talking about some other guns that we have not seen but may potentially show up in Marathon. Starting off is this first image right here showing a runner standing on what I believe to be a UESC security bot. We can see that this is a bullpup weapon and it has a short barrel, so I'll be calling it the short-barreled rifle or SBR. Now the one thing that really stands out to me about this is the size of the magazine. Just looking at the magazine as is, it's much smaller than the standard submachine gun magazine, something that would be chambered in a pistol round. So this is most likely chambered in a rifle round, just with a very small platform. Another weapon we saw for a very short moment in the vidoc is what I'll be calling the Nailgun, and that's mainly due to just how it looks. On a basis, it looks like a pistol or sidearm. We can see that there's a normal trigger, but then there's also a small built-in foregrip with a thicker gray part at the front. This is the main reason I'm calling this the nail gun, because this is the standard place that nails go on a nail gun. And while I don't 100% think it is a nail gun, it could very well just be a machine pistol, as there is also like a little magazine on the top, and that could be a small magazine or a battery or something like that. I still think it would be cool to be able to find like some construction tool and just start using that and killing people with it. The next weapon we see is in this screenshot right here of a team of UESC runners sporting a really nice white paint job. We can see this runner in the front. It's a little hard to tell exactly what gun he's holding, but to me this looks very similar to the real life Chris Vector, which would make sense because the Chris Vector has always been known as kind of a space gun. So seeing a Chris Vector-like weapon in a sci-fi game is not unheard of, and I'm perfectly okay with, because I love the design of the Chris Vector. If you don't know, the Chris Vector is a very unique weapon, as it fires at an extremely fast fire rate, but still maintains its controllability due to a patented recoil compensation system. The next weapon we'll be taking a look at is the one wielded by this orange runner. This one is a bit harder to see, but this I can immediately tell you is probably going to be an assault rifle. The more interesting part of this is the scope and the attachment on the side connected by a wire. The scope is interesting as it looks as if there's 2 separate viewports on it, similar to what you might see on a thermal or night vision scope. We don't know if there will be raids at night, but I wouldn't be surprised if there are. Now, the little red object on the side connected by a wire, I believe is most likely a rangefinder or some kind of laser sight or flashlight. However, this wire could show that this weapon is an energy rifle, and we could be looking at the first laser rifle we've seen in Marathon, though I really don't know, and I wouldn't be surprised if there were no laser rifles and all we get are the fusion weapons. The next weapon I'll talk about is the one wielded by this heavily armored blue runner. This one's a lot harder to tell because of the angle he's holding it at and the resolution of it, but if I had to make a prediction, this looks like another rifle or SMG, something fairly basic. It could potentially be a shotgun, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Now there's this larger weapon here held by the sketched runner. This weapon is held up by a sling. It makes me believe this is a heavier weapon, and of course it's very bulky. My prediction is this is either a magazine-fed shotgun or a magazine-fed grenade launcher. If it is a grenade launcher, that's going to be really interesting to see, but if I had to make a prediction, I'd predict this is a shotgun. But again, with all these sketches, this 100% could not be in the game. We really don't know. This next weapon is not well detailed at all, but from the bulkiness of the magazine and the general look of it, this might be another energy weapon, maybe some small energy SMG, but because of how basic this sketch is, there's really no telling, and this is probably not going to be in the game. Now, at the end of the trailer, when we see White Rabbit looting the dead runner, we see two other Traxis team members in the background that are both holding unique guns we haven't seen yet. The easier one to see is the one held by the runner on the left, and this weapon is the most similar to a modern weapon that I've seen, but it's also very vague and basic. But because of the length of the barrel and the fact that there's no optic, I believe this is an assault rifle. Additionally, because of the curved mag, I think this might be the Space AK that is in pretty much every sci-fi game. The silhouette of the weapon does look very similar to something like a Galil Ace or an AN-94. This definitely excites me because getting some kind of AK would just be really cool. Now, the other weapon, similar to the one held by the blue runner, is hard to tell because of the angle it's being held at, and of course the resolution on this is even worse. However, we can see majority of the weapon is actually colored white. There's also what looks to be an orange barrel and another orange bit at the top. That could be a scope. Because I can't really see much more, but the main white coloring is consistent with one other weapon, which is the Zeus Fusion Blaster. This might be like a fusion rifle. It would make sense that we would see a heavier version of the Fusion Blaster. The last couple weapons I want to talk about are not ones seen in Marathon, but instead seen in Destiny 2. From the thumbnail of Part 1, you saw the two Mida weapons that are shown in Destiny 2, being the Mida Mini Tool and the Mida Multi-Tool. Emphasis on Mida. We know these weapons are from the Marathon universe, not necessarily because of the name, but the actual lore pages in Destiny tell us so. And I'll put those on screen so you can read them if you want. Just pause the video. If we don't see these two weapons in Destiny, I will personally be very disappointed. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm almost 100% confident these will be in the game, much to my delight. The other thing I'm hoping too is that we see a kind of standardization with what Mida weapons look like, just like how I mentioned that all of the similar weapons we saw originally were UESC manufactured. So I get the feeling we're going to have the different manufacturers like you see in Destiny 2. So I will not be surprised at all if we get weapons manufactured, especially by Traxis and maybe even Sakaguchi. Now I'm going to mention a couple other weapons from Destiny 2 that I don't think will be in the game, but would be cool or look similar to some weapons we've seen in Marathon. Now I do want to also mention with Destiny, and someone mentioned in the comments, Destiny 2 is well known for not caring in the slightest about realistic firearms, which makes sense because it is a game about a bunch of undead space wizards, and there's also a gun in the game that shoots literal babies, so it's not really well known for its weapon realism. And admittedly, I really don't like some of the designs in Destiny or Destiny 2. I think a lot of the weapons are very similar to each other, and especially with most auto rifles not being bullpup and all pulse rifles being bullpup just makes everything look really similar, and I think they could do a lot better with unique designs of guns. But there are a couple standout weapons that I do like the design of. Two obviously being the Mida weapons, but some others being the weapons introduced in the Beyond Light expansion, the ones that you get directly from Varix, I think is his name, but they're the Europa weapons. They have a bright red and blue color scheme, and I'll put some of them up on screen. They look not identical, but fairly similar to some of the weapons we've seen in Marathon, like the battle rifle and the DMR. Now, I'm not saying these will be in the game. I don't think they will, but it's just interesting that there's kind of a similarity. Again, that's something we see with Bungie. And if you ever want to roleplay a runner in Destiny, I guess these are the guns you could use. One last gun that I think would be a cool callback to Destiny that they could put in Marathon as like a little Easter egg or a fun thing to find would be the Kvostov. This is the AR that you start with in Destiny 1 and Destiny 2, and it was an exotic in Destiny 1 and was recently brought back as one in Destiny 2 as well. Keeping with that trend, I think it would be really cool to add the Kvostov into Marathon. Especially if they use the Destiny 1 model with the wood furniture, it would give it a very old look and nice comparison to the other weapons in Marathon. Generally, I just love the design of sci-fi weapons just because it gets weapon designers and concept artists to really think outside the box while they can reference or use real-life weapons, which I think is a general good idea for the sake of some realism. Some of the best sci-fi weapon designs really came from that philosophy. Things like the M41A pulse rifle from Aliens is just an M1 Thompson with a plastic case around it and a little Spaz 12 barrel attached below. A lot of the guns in Star Wars, especially the original trilogy, use World War II weapons with little bits and bobs attached to them. The E11's just a Sterling SMG, and Han Solo's blaster is just a Mauser C96 with a scope attached to it. Of course, I don't think this philosophy is going to be followed in Marathon because it wasn't followed in Destiny, but I just think it's always an interesting thing and one of the reasons why I love sci-fi weapon designs. But for now, that's all the weapons we know. I do want to say before I end the video, even though there are not any concept art showing old Trilogy Marathon weapons, there was some fan concept art made. This art shows new Marathon runners holding some of the weapons from the old Bungie trilogy. I think it's really, really good, but I did not ask the creator of the art, so I haven't put them in the video, but I will leave a link to his Twitter in the description below so you can check it out. They're really well done concept art. Now, in regard to the future of this channel, I don't think we're going to see really any credible leaks because we haven't yet. So I don't think we're going to get much anything in regards to the weapons of Marathon until we see gameplay. And I don't think we're really going to get any reliable information until it comes from Bungie directly. So for now, I'm probably going to take a pause on making any new Marathon content unless I think of a really creative video idea. In the meantime though, I think I'm going to be talking about some other extraction shooters on the market, and I'm definitely going to be covering, uploading some gameplay, and giving my thoughts on the Forever Winter when it comes out, actually tomorrow from when this video is released. So I'm really looking forward to covering that. Now for all of you that made it to the end, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, feel free to like and comment. If you didn't, please comment below and tell me what I can do better. I also want to thank everybody for getting me to 100 subscribers. We went from 50 to 100 in the span of 7 days, which is just, it blows my mind. So I want to thank everybody for that, and it makes me so happy to be building a community around this game where we're actually positive about Marathon, even though we might all have our reservations, and I think you should. But it's so nice to be building this community with the help of everyone and the other Marathon creators like Jake, Bonn, and Sadow. And if you're reaching my videos and have not seen any of theirs, I'm going to put their channels down in the description. Go watch their videos. They're great creators too, and it's so nice seeing them get recognition for the hard work they put into their videos. Until next time, thank you for watching the Tau Ceti News Network, and I hope you have a wonderful day.